Despite being repeatedly warned about the dangerousness of wild wolves, this man decided to keep one as a pet. One fateful evening, when he came home later than usual, the wolf did something genuinely shocking that changed the way he looked at it. Andrei Masenko was a fitness instructor living in a small Siberia, Russia town. Every day before going to the gym, he loved to go running in the woods to get a jump start on his day. On a chilly winter morning, Andrei woke up early and prepared to go out for his regular run. The forest was quiet, with only the sound of his footfalls breaking the stillness. The avid runner had just rounded a corner when he heard a faint whimpering sound carried by the wind. It was such a heart-wrenching noise that Andrei had to stop to investigate further. The sound continued, and he followed it until he came across a tiny bundle of surprise. It was a small, shivering puppy curled up under a tree. The puppy was lost and alone, with no collar or identification tag. The fitness trainer approached it cautiously, not wanting to scare it away. He knelt down and extended his hand, letting it sniff it. The poor thing seemed to trust him, and it tentatively licked his hand. Andrei couldn't help but feel sorry for the helpless little creature, and he decided to take it with him on his run back home. He put the puppy underneath his coat to keep it warm while he jogged. It was so small that Andrei could carry it in his hands. As Andrei ran back to the village, he couldn't help but think about what he would do with the puppy. He had always wanted a dog, but he knew caring for it would be an enormous responsibility. When he got home, he gave the little puppy a piece of meat from his fridge, and the creature gobbled it up hungrily. Then it curled up on the rug in the living room and fell asleep, almost as if it already knew this would become its permanent home. Over the next few weeks, Andrei dedicated his free time to raising his new friend. Soon he realized that the dog was female and named her Akila. She was very energetic and never got tired of running. Soon, Akila started accompanying her human friend on his daily run through the woods. Andrei found it surprising that his dog never ran out of energy even after long runs, but guessed that she would eventually become lazier with time. Over the next few weeks, Andrei grew to love the pup very much. But at the same time, he noticed that she was different from other dogs. He had never heard Akila bark, even when other dogs in the neighborhood were barking. His pup also never showed him affection. She never rushed to the door when he came home or tried to jump on him, as he had seen several dogs do with their owners. Akila also didn't like to cuddle or snuggle up to him. Andrei understood that the dog could have trust issues from being abandoned at a young age. He knew that she loved him and probably just had a difficult time showing it. Another strange thing he noticed was her penchant for meat and how she never paid attention to any other food he tried to feed her. Akila was growing fast. By the time she was 2 months old, she was as big as a mature dog. He was delighted to have such a massive animal at his side, but he also wanted to know how big she would get in the months to come. So one day, Andrei decided to take his furry friend to the veterinary clinic to get a checkup. As soon as he walked in with Akila, the vet jumped back in shock and was visibly shaken. Andrei was surprised by his reaction and called the dog to his side. She didn't bark or show any signs of aggression, which startled the doctor even more. The physician then explained to Andrei that the animal he came in with was not a dog, but a wolf. Andrei was shocked. He didn't want to believe what the doctor told him, but Akila's weird behavior made sense to him now. She never behaved like a dog because she was not a dog. Despite his surprise, the vet examined the wolf and confirmed she was in perfect health. Just before they left, the physician advised him to get rid of the wolf, as they could be hazardous animals and he wouldn't stand a chance if she were to attack him one day. Andrei went home feeling torn. He knew that keeping a wolf as a pet was not wise, but he also couldn't let go of her now that he was so attached. He had grown to love Akila, so he decided to keep her despite the warnings he had received from the vet. Akila grew bigger and bigger with each passing day, and her bond with Andrei grew and became stronger too. The duo still went out every morning for their runs. Then he would feed her before going to the gym where he worked. The fitness trainer always returned home by 6 p.m. and fed Akila by 8 p.m. The wolf would then curl at his feet while he relaxed in the living room. Although she was a naturally ferocious animal, she was very gentle with her best friend. Whenever Andrei didn't go to the gym, he and Akila would play games in the nearby woods, where he taught her new tricks. Despite her wild nature, the wolf was incredibly intelligent and eager to learn. One of their favorite games was hide and seek, where Andre would hide somewhere in the woods and Aquila would use her keen sense of smell to track him down. As Andre ran through the forest trying to find that perfect hiding spot, Aquila would watch him intently. Once he was hidden, he would wait in anticipation, wondering how long it would take for her to find him. But Aquila never took too long. She would quickly sniff out Andre's scent and then run towards him with boundless energy. One day, Andre went to work as usual. He fed Aquila that morning before heading out and couldn't wait to return to his buddy. Just as he was about to get off work, his colleague called in sick and pleaded with him to take his shift. Andre had no choice but to prolong his working day, and he had no problem doing so. However, he was a bit worried about Aquila. He had never missed her feeding time and didn't know how she would react. As the hours went by, the trainer became increasingly worried. Finally, he got off work by 11 p.m. and drove home. As soon as he parked, he hurried towards his apartment and rushed to Aquila's room without even turning on the lights. Andre opened the door cautiously. He knew the wolf would be starving. It was dark, and fear immediately gripped him when he could not see her anywhere. He stepped inside to turn on the switch, but didn't have to see her to feel her presence. He could hear her growl, and the sound made his blood freeze in his veins. Suddenly, he saw a pair of bright amber eyes in the dark. It took him a few seconds to realize that Aquila was approaching him. He was instantly terrified that she was hungry enough to bite him. Even though he was afraid, Andre was so shocked that he froze on the spot. He never doubted his bond with Aquila, but he didn't know what to think at that moment. He stood there with his head racing as the wolf approached him and jumped on her hind legs, then opened her mouth and did something shocking. Andre, who had shut his eyes when he saw the wolf open her mouth, was surprised when a wet, slobbering tongue hit his face. He opened his eyes to see Aquila showering him with kisses. Tears came to his eyes fast, and he felt guilty that he had ever doubted her. She had only been worried about him and was excited to see him. Andre couldn't stop the tears from falling. This was the first time Aquila was sharing this affectionate side of her with him, and he was grateful to have been able to witness it. Andre hugged his giant furry friend and fed her. He went to bed that night grateful to have Aquila in his life and knowing that she would never attack him with anything but wet kisses.